On the Make It Right, call Kyle Wright hotline, Cleveland.com, and 92 through the fans' very own Lance Reisland. Coach, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. What's going on?
Why do you personally loathe Ty Simpson?
Yeah, give us the real reason.
I don't know. There's no personal. I know you're taking it personal. There's no point in the finger in the chest. 15 starts, immediately turns me off. I'm done. I'm out.
All right.
Is it just the 15 starts? Is that like the only part of it? Because I really do think it's become
there's other things too. The frame, his ability to move his feet when he's under pressure. And I feel like these guys who have these least amount of starts, I try to go back and watch as much film as possible. I feel like if they're not in the right situation, which right now the Browns offense isn't, that could really stunt what he's doing. Now, 2 years from now, he could be outstanding, I think, if he's sitting behind Stafford or sitting behind Rodgers. But right now, I just don't think he can go in and be the guy. I just don't.
Any other quarterbacks you might actually look at if you're the Browns in the mid-rounds, other than Garrett Nussmeier?
Oh, yeah.
I want to hear about Garrett Nussmeier again.
Well, I'm going to start with Garrett Nussmeier. Love Garrett Nussmeier. And here's why. A lot of starts underneath center. Played in that Brian Kelly offense, which means you're going to be multiple sets. You're going to be in the huddle. You're going to be multiple tight ends. You're going to have to do NFL-type things. And that's a big thing that people don't understand, that I think, the ability to call plays in the huddle in that short amount of time when you have this long verbiage that they have in the NFL, that takes some time to do. So, I like him. I think, once again, a lot of the same concerns I have about Ty Simpson, I have about him too. Slater frame, makes mistakes under pressure. Those are things he's going to have to work on.
All right, Coach, we got more draft questions, I'm sure. But now we did a lot about Deshaun Watson in the past hour or so, and it's kind of been a Deshaun, Shedeur, Dylan Gabriel day. Let me ask you, from a coaching perspective, and one of the cool things about Monken, you always talk about this, about how he doesn't have a scheme, he fits to the player, right? How do you put together what you want to do and what your scheme is going to be if you have three different quarterbacks and they're all very, very different? How does that approach? What does that look like?
Well, if you think about, so it's the foundation stays the same. So if you're running zone read, everybody up front is running zone. You can pass off it. You can run zone read if you have a running quarterback. So the foundations stay the same. You're just kind of tweaking with what the quarterback's strength is. If he's a running quarterback, you're going to read the backside end. If he's a throwing quarterback, you're going to read the linebacker. Or there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. The thing that sticks out is that, I'm a Dylan Gabriel fan, but I don't know. I don't think this offense fits him very well, because now what I thought he did well is be within a scheme and be a part of that, and because he does have limitations. Now, in this, I've heard you guys talking about Deshaun. I've heard a lot of, for me, it doesn't matter. All the speculation, part of the side effect or part of the ripple effect of getting rid of Kevin Stefanski is the fact that it doesn't matter what Deshaun happened before. It doesn't matter what he came in with. It doesn't matter that he played 19 games and he's been pretty poor in what he's. All he knows is right now everybody's got a kind of a fresh start, and obviously the quarterback he'll adjust to what these quarterbacks do, but he's going to pick the one that he has to do the least amount of work with. And for him, the bottom line is winning week one. All this stuff about everything else does not absolutely matter to a coach. You have to win week one, and then you got to win week two, and you kind of move forward. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but that's exactly how Monken's thinking right now. Who gives me the best chance to win week one? Not next year, not the future, not developmental. You're playing for the future. You won't be a part of it kind of deal. So for me, I think Shedeur and Deshaun are in the mix. I think this is going to be tough for Dylan just because this is a players kind of based offense, and that's not his strength.
All right, Coach. If I'm my winning plan, meaning winning as many games as possible in 2026, would involve signing Kyler Murray to a one-year deal, the Russell Wilson type deal. The number one player I would add, and at almost any expense, Rasheed Walker, the left tackle there out of Green Bay, and then with a sixth pick, that would allow me to take Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. If those were the big three moves, how would you grade that offseason for the Browns?
Oh, I like that. I would say any of those receivers, there's a bunch of receivers. My rebuttal or my pushback would be I think you can get some guys like Tyson who might be as good. Omar Cooper. There's some guys, besides Lemon, Tyson, and Tate, Casey Concepcion, Omar Cooper, Zachariah Branch, Denzel Boston, Chris Bell. These guys I've been watching now for a while. There's some guys you can get down the road. So I love the idea of getting Walker. Then you're pretty good at the tackles. You figure out what you're going to do inside. There's some guards you can go out and get second and third round. For me, I'm still taking game changers. If that's the thing, I'm not taking Tyson at 6. I'm either taking a game changer or I'm trying to trade back so I can take a tackle, or I can take one of those three receivers or another receiver I like. I wouldn't be shocked if there's a receiver that jumps in front of those three that somebody really loves, because there's some skill sets on these guys that teams like, whether they're in the slot or outside. So I'm on board with all that. I would still take if Caleb Downs is there, Sonny Styles is there, if Arvell Reese is there, I'm taking those guys, because those guys are what win games down the road.
What have you seen from Sonny Styles? He's a guy we didn't talk too much about, and then he just had a magnificent combine.
Well, for me, JP, the combine is very. I'm not a huge combine guy, but what I like to do is when a guy is like that, you say, oh my gosh, and then you go back and see it on film. And what you see is a guy who was a safety, 6'5", 244. He ran. He did all these freakishly things. But he's only played linebacker for 1 year, and he's only played down in the box, and that's a big difference when you talk about reading double teams and scraping over top and filling A gap and blitzing and covering backside of the backfield. It's a big change, for a guy moving down. However, he's such an elite athlete. The scary thing about him is I think his best football is in front of him. He's only just getting started, and he's one of those guys when you watch him on film, he's just a better athlete than ever. Him and Reese and Downs are just better athletes than everybody else. So he'll have a learning curve because at his size, he's able to kind of just get rid of offensive linemen. He'll have to stack and shed a little bit more as he gets, into the NFL. But when you see the combine, you go back and watch the film, you can see the correlation, and you see how much better he's going to get when he plays linebacker over and over and over.
All right, there were a lot of names that made headlines in Indianapolis at the Combine, but seeing as this is the first time we've gotten you since we have officially, gone through the entire Combine, what names maybe broke out the most for you?
Well, there's a couple guys. I'm looking towards the Browns angle, but just in general, I thought, obviously everybody talks about Sonny Styles and those guys, but a couple guys off the radar. I thought Kyle Lewis, the linebacker from Pitt, was outstanding. He ran a 4.53, great 10-yard shot, all those things, great 10-yard split. But his film is super explosive, kind of like that. I'm not comparing him to JOK. I'm comparing him to the pull the trigger like JOK, where he's he sees what he sees and he pulls the trigger. He doesn't wait. Obviously, David Bailey was outstanding. The D tackle, Caleb Banks from Florida, I thought he was super impressive at 6'6", 330, running a 5.04. I tell everybody that 5.04 at 330 is more impressive to me than a 4.26. That's incredibly fast for a big guy. All those guys, Jeremiah Love for me has moved into the 1A category with Downs. I would not hesitate if I'm the Browns if he's there to take him. There's another game changer. I thought Mike Washington is a really good player. Jacob Rodriguez is a guy, runs really, really well. He was one of those guys, even if he didn't test well, the film would have overmatched it for me, but he tested pretty well. He's just a football player. He's always around the football. C.J. Allen, the linebacker out of Georgia, he's a stud. And then you got the tackles, Fano, Malioa, Freeling. Ian Natchor, I think, is a guy you can get in the second round who's got a ton of upside. So there's another guy they can go get. Oliva Vega Owana, the guard from Penn State, he's a stud. Jennings Dunker is a stud. So there's a lot of guys out there, especially like you said, Nick. If they go out and get Walker, then they can do what they want here a little bit and take who they think it is, because then that tackle doesn't become such a need and such a stress, right? So for me, that's the idea. What are they going to do with that tackle? I'd much rather be a free agent and then go out and take one of these game changers.
Coach, you responded to us on social media the other day. We were talking about Todd Monken and nepotism in the NFL, and I made the point that it doesn't bother me one bit if I would help out my kid. If I had a chance to help out my kid, that's just how I think about these things. But I thought you had a good response. Can you tell people what your thoughts are with not only Todd Monken, his son being given a job in the NFL now, but your experience as well?
Well, it's kind of the same thing. It's all we've ever done, right? Our fun, our hobbies, our, what we like to do in social time. We like to do football. We like to do, that's kind of how we grew up. So in my family, you either liked it or you hated it, right? So me and my dad were super close because we loved it. And I remember I was playing college ball, and I was coming to an end and finishing up my spring. And my dad's offensive coordinator at the time, he got the AG job, and my dad simply said to me, "Hey, you want to be the offensive coordinator? I know you can do this." So there is not a bigger thing of nepotism. There it is. By definition, my dad gave me the job because he knew how much I love football and worked at it. And then it was my job to kind of make him right in what he said and what he did. But make no mistake about it, I got the job because of my dad. And when I hear things like that, I always think about every job. It's not who you know, it's who knows you. And that gets you to the front of the line, and then you got to do stuff. So I'm not I don't really, nepotism has never been a big deal for me. It's the idea of when you get that chance, can you take advantage of it? And that's what I always try to do with my dad, is kind of prove him that, or prove to him that he made the right choice. And I think Monken's kid will do the same thing. It's, I was laughing because there's there's no bigger case of nepotism than me getting my first job, without question.
You think your dad got it right?
I would say half and half. Sometimes yes, some years no, right? You do the best you can. A lot of really good coaches out there, but the thing about my dad is he believed in me and he trusted that I worked. It's easy to coach when you're winning. One of my strengths was always coaching and being the same person, same energy, same relentlessness when we were losing. So I would like to think he got it right.
Coach, you're just supposed to tell him he got it right. Yes,
yeah.
Nick,
I'm not doing that.
Stop it. He got it right. That's what you're supposed to say.
I won't do that. No, there's yes and no. Some days yes, some days no, for sure.
I'll say he got it right. Coach, we appreciate you, buddy. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. I'll talk to you.
Coach.
Lance Reisland on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline.
Talking about get it right.
That was a burger bet. He would have told me to stuff it.
I would have hoped so.
Yeah.
He's just too nice sometimes.
He's too nice.
He's too nice.
One of these days, I'm going to get him to just tell me to screw off. That's the goal.
I don't think you're ever going to get it. I know if you put your mind to something, you can accomplish it, but I don't know that. I don't know. This is going to be a tough one.